Tuesday, September 24th. Market analysis, Stan Ehrlich. Good morning. This is a little late for me at 10:21 California time. I wanted to watch to see if this market will start to slip back down, and it's not at the moment. We are still 57.88 on the E-mini, above yesterday and the day before high, and almost making another new high for the trend. The only bearish thing I can see is that the highs have, for the last 3 days, been fairly close to each other, and we seem to be having a little bit of trouble at this price range right now. And actually a very tiny possible bearish formation forming, but that only produces a downside objective approximately here. If the market starts to fall apart and close lower, I'll be pretty happy, but especially if it can get below yesterday's low, stay below yesterday's low, we will have a bearish engulfing. Now, it hasn't been below yesterday's low yet. The spider, SPY, does have an outside trading range relative to yesterday, is higher on the day at the moment, and it was overbought within the allotted number of back days. So if we now close lower than yesterday's close, I will have an ER sell signal, and we're only up a point. This is easy to have happen. So I'm hoping that we slip a modest amount in order to create that outside down day bearish engulfing, and therefore in the SPY, a bearish red ER sell signal. Here's the 5-minute chart. We squeaked above the high of yesterday, having a little trouble in that range. Looking for a move back down to the previous close and lower, of course. And if it can make a new low for the whole day today, that would even be better. But so far, I'm telling you, that's not happening. I've got to stay at least neutral, if not friendly. I won't say bullish because of our overbought conditions are usually producing tops or the start of some sort of downside correction. The October lows are coming around the corner. This week historically has been the most bearish week all year long. No surprise, last week in September before October. So all the reasons to look for, but we're not finding it. I'm not finding it yet. The trigger. Outside down day could easily happen. Now, we've got an outside up day at the moment on the QQQ. All it has to do is close below yesterday's close. Now, that will not create a red bearish engulfing ER sell signal because we have not been overbought, but we've been very close. Here's the 5-minute chart. Open a little higher, pull back down, got back up again, having a little trouble here. Plenty of time left for today. Go either way, obviously. I just really need to see some significant weakness at a minimum below yesterday's close, if not a chunk more than that. NQ, NASDAQ futures, slight new high from last week, but still not above the high on August 22nd. And nowhere near the top of the market, which was an ER red sell signal, the high day. And we caught the low day, and we caught the high day. Those three last, and we caught almost the low day just recently for a buy signal. We've gotten some really good signals lately on the NQ. And the 5-minute chart, well, just don't see it yet. So I need to get back down close to today's low, if not make lows lower than what we've got so far for the day. Look at the YM futures. We are overbought, and we are new historical highs. This is a prime candidate for an outside down day. We have not yet been below yesterday's lows. If we can do that, we will have a red bearish engulfing just like we had, which didn't work, September 18th. But I frequently see these things 2, maybe 3, and occasionally 4 within a month. And often, more often than not, one of them is the highest high for the whole damn trend up and then back down again. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Next chart. YM 5-minute data. Nothing happening here that I can hang my hat on, just that it's kind of stalling out in this little range here. Frankly, just a little bit above the highs of the last 2.5 trading days. Next, the Russell. We caught the bottom in the Russell, wrote it up for a great trade, got overbought, hit resistance, started to slip on Friday, a little bit more yesterday. Today we are up slightly. Nothing wrong with that. I'm still looking for lower levels in the Russell. This is behaving fairly normally, typical, period. I think we're going to see lows lower than today's lows easily this week. And the 5-minute Russell. And there, of course, is our last bullish trade in detail, 5-minute detail. Next. The interest rate futures are cooperating. I like very much what they have started to do here in the last several days. I talked about the head and shoulder bottom with a single shoulder, which was on March 6th of 23. The bottom is the head of whatever size head and shoulder you're going to talk about in a moment, always. And that was October 23 of 23. So October. Now I'm looking for another low in October. And if I get more of a decline and it's underway already into this green circle, I will have what I think is going to be a second shoulder on a 2-year head and shoulder bottom. So this will be, I hope, that's my plan. I hope it cooperates. The second shoulder, that's the first shoulder area. It's not very clear. Of course, you take the lowest low. Usually the timing was more like right here relative to the timing on that shoulder, which is very obvious. And now to complement this coming October, we have a year ago October head bottom, and a year earlier in October, you've got a shoulder low potential. But I need this shoulder over here to make it symmetrical. If you got 2 on the left, you have to have 2 on the right. Next, 10-year notes are identical. Now, I've also drawn in, I'll go back to bonds. The neckline in bright yellow dashed across the high of last week, and that is a new second potential neckline that's significantly higher than the original for the single shoulder pattern. But this one, and I should be raising that up just a little bit. That's more perfect. Sorry about that. And that's about right. Minor change. The upside objective on this one, if we keep developing this last shoulder as I hope, I will talk about the upside objective, which will easily be 150. Probably significantly more than that, 155, 160 maybe. Now, notes. Everything I said is good for notes, as I said for bonds. Except we did get into some resistance here a little bit more accurately and then pull back. We are now lowest low, only down a couple ticks at the moment. And I'm not concerned about a little bit of a bounce here. You'll look at the very last week or so, we did get a bearish engulfing ER sell signal right there on the rally high, 917's a date. Now it went down immediately, 1, 2 days, 3, and at the moment 2 ticks. 4 out of 5 of the last 5 days have been down. Today's low of the wick, is lower than all other lows since the sell signal. If it closes higher, I'm not going to have a problem with that. We're not oversold. We got plenty of elbow room. I am looking for a move down into this green circle, 0, and into approximately the middle of October. And that's it. Let's see how it develops in the next few weeks. Crude, energies, then metals, grains, meats. We've got energies, crude oil, made a rally new high, not overbought yet, could come up even more. there's a chance it could get all the way up to this resistance line and resistance area at about 79. I don't see why not, but I think that's the most friendly I can get, bullish I can get for the most part, short term, in the next couple, 3-4 weeks maybe. Natural gas is now overbought and gapped up big time this morning. Not just overbought, but at around 85, which is very overbought. If we reached 90, which we did back here with an 88 plus, not quite 90, it did top out. Too bad I don't have a signal in here. So this is approaching that same extreme. And what about this few days when it got way up? And that was 91. And it topped out for a big move down. What about this one here? 4 or 5 days here. Well, I need to say nothing more. What about this 85 plus or 75 plus? Topped out. And this one over here, that was a minor high, and it made a little bit higher high slightly after. Again, overbought for one day, a very small portion of it. So there's a little indication of what I'm expecting and why. The gap is going to be closed. This market's going to come all the way back down, and I think it's going to make new lows for the whole damn trend. May take a month or two, but this looks like an upside exhaustion gap test of a major bear trend line, overbought conditions and substantially overbought, and it almost perfectly fulfilled my minimum upside objective from the double bottom formation, which we had a buy signal on the second and lowest low for the whole damn trend down. Great. Okay. Next, oversold bottom, rallying a little bit. Maybe it'll come up a little bit more in heating oil. I can't expect really too much more than a test of this resistance, period. Overbought conditions in gold, then silver and platinum and copper. I'm expecting gold to top out very soon now. It's 85. Last time 85, look what happened. Topped out. Last time 75 plus, topped out. Now I know this lasted a few weeks. Eventually it topped out. That's one shortcoming of oscillators. But you have to know how to handle them. I like one of my old sayings is it's not the tool that you have to use, it's how you use the tool that counts. Okay. Silver. Very overbought. Today, again, first time in a few days. Up almost to a significant resistance line. But ladies and gentlemen, I got to erase this head and shoulder top downside objective line. We did buy the bottom of the market. I had no expectation this was going to produce a rally as high as it has. I thought we were going to make new lows right around here, of course, September 6th. But that didn't happen. And it not even oversold. It just plain turned around close to support. So one sell signal failed. Actually, there's a very small profit on the overnight ER1, very tiny profit. The new high and new high close likely is the beginning of overbought conditions again. So it may go up a bit more. Yeah, it's already bumped against the last shoulder high on the previous head and shoulder top, which worked halfway down, and that was it. So I got to abandon this previous pattern pretty much completely. And the next day or two, I'll erase the shoulders and necklines. This little tiny head and shoulder worked great, and it took only 2 days for it to work. And it was part of the big pattern. But I'm sorry to say, I can't allow this much too much strength the last couple of weeks. But look at platinum. Although it's kind of a good rally today, it's not making short-term new highs. And it is neutral territory RSI. It did get overbought and close to resistance and turned down, and we haven't violated any significant previous number of days back highs worth, for example. No breakouts, nothing here I can scream bullish about. This looks like it could any time now, before the end of the week, maybe make another new low. So metals are toppy in gold, getting choppy in silver, had been choppy in platinum, and basically working in platinum, even though we're rallying quite a bit today. Okay, now copper, a pseudo island bottom, if you call it that. It's close to a good looking island bottom. I meant double bottom. And we did get a buy signal on, get rid of that, on the 5th of September at the bottom. Now, I'm seeing that I don't have my strategy running here. I'm sorry to say, somehow we failed to turn that on. Take about 25 seconds for it to change bar colors, candlestick colors, bodies, and create the markings for the trades. And the bright green for the buy signals, trading days that we don't care too much about, are white, and bright red for the sell signals coming up here in a moment. We're still calculating. See that in the upper left-hand corner of the chart. And now I'm losing my cursor, but that's okay. It'll be a few more seconds. Sorry to drag you into this. And we should see on the far left bodies of candlesticks starting to turn white and creep across the screen any moment now. Come on, baby. I've got other trading platforms running at the same time, TradeStation, multi-charts, and that's why I'm getting this multi-charts memory error popping up, interfering with what I'm doing. And I'm sorry to say that's slow. Oh, there it is. Slowing down the calculation process. Green on the bottom, almost green on the bottom. Upside objective now, frankly, within reach. Overbought conditions are substantial, 86. There could be a dip here down slightly, a day or two or three, before it gets up to my minimum objective, which is 4.6295, thereabouts, real close. Looking great. Nothing wrong with this. Doing fine. Next, new highs for the trend. Now we're getting into grains, and I am finding some bullish signals here. Not necessarily ER buy signals, but breakout to the upside signals. Stuff that is causing me to be a little cautious about long-term bearish, a little bit more likely to start talking about bottom formations of some kind or another, or at least a market that's trying to flatten out in a broader trading range. This is a new high since August 6th, a month and a half. Significant amount of time. Now, granted, it got overbought second day, but the fact that it was able to keep pushing up and start to eat into previous resistance levels, I think we could get up to this, and I've talked about this many times, 1103, give or take a penny or two or three. At this point, because of the upside breakout. Now, I do need to have this close on a relatively strong basis, and if it does close lower, it's only up one tick right now. If it does close lower on the day, that implies it could dip down a little bit, a day or two or three, and then start to make higher highs, just as long as it holds right about here, 1020. Next chart is, we have new highs again for multiple weeks again in soybean oil, and getting into a resistance level, but we're starting to get for the first day overbought. Not much, 77, but above 75 in resistance, and a perfect spot for it to dip back down. So how it handles the next dip back down, how far it goes down, and how long it lasts are going to be very important in terms of staying base building type of commentary, neutral, a little bit more strength, and then back and forth kind of commentary. I doubt this is going to start a bull market right off the bat. So these lows in here could have something to do with this longer term in a month or 3 or 4 or 5. That low might just be the low, but I can't tell. We did get a buy signal within the allotted number of days after being oversold, which was that day. So near the bottom, we got a buy signal. What about soybean meal? New highs for, again, over a month. Look at about 2 months, actually, almost. But overbought in a resistance area, prime territory for some kind of a minor dip down. And I'll go back again to soybeans, excuse me, are doing that. Oil's doing it. Meal is doing it. Overbought today. And then a little lower on the day right now. I had oil up there a moment ago. Sorry, talking about meal, but they look similar. So that's what I didn't catch. Now, come on. Don't do that to me. All right, that's good. So we're at a major bearish resistance line and overbought and around unchanged, actually down 3.7. So that's right. The current tick is down here. Yeah, close to the low of the day. So this doesn't seem likely to have a bearish engulfing. It's got to get all the way below yesterday's lows. So that's not very likely. If it did, that would be pretty bearish in my opinion. Meanwhile, it's just going to dip down maybe to here and then see what we can do. I'm slightly bearish because of the overbought condition and the trend line apparently stopping on a close-to-close basis any upside progress. I know it punched through it, but it's certainly not above it now. And look at this, corn, new highs again for another 2 months approximately again. And in a resistance area, but not overbought. So I'm starting to abandon my longer term bearish opinion, which was correct, of course, for many months, all year long, I think, so far. And I'm getting a little more interested in neutral base building activity in corn, as well as beans, oil, meal. What about wheat? Wheat is exactly the opposite at the moment. Wheat has a minor shoulder high September 5th. Maybe I think the high was actually September 4th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days to the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days to today. Higher high than a few days back today. About the same levels you would expect for a last shoulder high today. The top of the formation is overbought right smack dab on September 13th. The neckline I've drawn in underneath the lows, but it's a very small formation. All it's going to do, if it works correctly, is bring me down to about 530. And that is back down close to the lowest lows, which we did get a buy signal at the very bottom, people. Sell signal almost at the very top, and not too bad. All right. So maybe if today stays the highest high, and in the next few days we drop below the yellow line, stay below the yellow line, and get down to my objective, it will be a head and shoulder top. And I'm telling you, the day it's starting to turn down from the last shoulder. Done this a lot. Now what we look for is no more sideways, and certainly no more significant rally, and particularly above today's high. That would start to ruin the timing and the symmetry timing. So straight down, basically. Next, cattle, overbought, resistance, 82.80 on the RSI at the moment. I think it's about to turn down. It hasn't yet. Prime target for a bearish engulfing signal, not yet. Hogs, bullish, overbought condition, possible double top, not a very big one, time-wise and vertically measurement-wise. So if that's true, you're overbought on the second high like the first high. We might, in the next day or two, have a bearish engulfing ER red sell signal, but not yet. And it's not that overbought, but hey, it doesn't have to be. So if this starts to come down, then I'll draw my downside objective, which probably is going to be right in the support area. Back to the E-mini. Well, what can I say? I don't see anything bearish happening here yet, but all it has to do is start to break real fast and take people by surprise, which wouldn't be a surprise to me. And you should be on your toes, very much so at the moment, for these markets to make new lows for the last few hours. Certainly for the day in particular below yesterday's low or lower than today's low, if that's already, in a couple of cases, lower than yesterday's lows. Profitable trading to you. Have a great day.